indo para a próxima entrevista.
Então bora, fica à vontade, chama aí.
Vamos lá. Carrie Patel e Ryan Warden vão vir falar aqui um pouquinho de AVOWED, que é o próximo jogo também do Xbox, chegando em 2025.
Hi there.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for being here and taking some time to talk with us about AVOWED. But first of all, is this your first time here in Brazil? Are you guys enjoying the country?
Sim, e é prazer estar aqui e falar de AVOWED com vocês.
Oh, nice.
Bem-vinda, bem-vindo.
Obrigada.
Well, for starters, I have to ask this. What is AVOWED? Because even though it's set in a familiar universe, for those who played Pillars of Eternity, it's a brand new game in a new setting in that world. So how would you describe it to someone who doesn't know anything about it?
All right, so I'm going to take a stab at this. So AVOWED is our new first-person glimpse into the world of Aora. As you mentioned, that was first established in the Pillars of Eternity games, Pillars of Eternity and then Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire. But this time, you get to experience the world of Aora in first-person view, which I find is just a completely immersive way to get introduced into the world of Aora.
And, well, we all know that Obsidian is pretty much renowned for making good RPGs. And what do you consider the studio's trademark, and how does that show in AVOWED?
So our studio's motto is really your world's your way, and that shows up in choice and consequence. And we try to offer that to the player on as many different vectors as we can. In the realm of building your character, that means you're going to choose your character's backstory. You're obviously going to decide their skills, their attributes as you level them up. And you're going to have incredible flexibility in how you build and progress your character, because we do have a classless system. And it also means that as you progress through the game, get to know your companion characters, encounter quests, you're going to make choices both big and small that are going to affect the lives of individual characters and also shape the destiny of the living lands.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the things that the studio is known for is the strong narrative and the companion characters. So can you tell us a bit more about the companions in AVOWED, like the role in the story and the relationship to the player? Who is your favorite, maybe?
Well, you're going to meet 4 companion characters over the course of your journey, and they're locals to the Living Lands. They were either born there or they've spent many years of their lives there, and they're there to help you solve the Dream Scourge, which is a spiritual plague that threatens everybody in the Living Lands. So over the course of your journey, they are your allies in combat, they are your friends at the campfire, they're the people through whom you get to know the Living Lands and who can help make the stakes of all the choices you're making a lot more personal. And as for favorites, I'm really partial to Yatsli. She's a wonderful firecracker of a character, and she's got some incredible magical abilities that are really fun to use in combat and really high impact.
See, I'm really like Kai. One, voiced by Brandon Keener, which is phenomenal. And then 2, it's just an extremely well-written character. Whoever was writing Kai did just a phenomenal job.
And, well, a lot of that has already been shown in the game has an emphasis on player choice, what you can do in the Living Lands, and how the world reacts to it. And how hard is it to make a game with that much freedom, knowing that you have to predict a lot of things that players are going to do, especially in an action RPG?
It's always a challenge, but for us, it's such a core part of our DNA as a studio, you know, that we approach the games we make with a very player-first mentality, thinking, what are players going to want to do here, and how can we enable them to use the toolbox we're giving them to approach our content in a way that seems interesting to them? And that means that when we're building a quest, we're thinking from the ground up, not just what's the beginning and the end point, but what happens if a player starts at the end point? And how can we make that a viable path and let players feel rewarded for their discoveries, encouraged to explore the world, rather than railroaded into one very specific progression?
And the team has done a great job just identifying all of the various permutations that could possibly happen in a quest, and then making sure that players are able to access those regardless of the path that they actually got there on.
Okay, so let's give a few hints for the players because it looked like you can combine a lot of different powers, abilities, weapons for the
Sorcery and
character.
guns, everything, lots of loadouts.
Yeah. So we'd like to know what are your favorite combinations so far?
I've become really partial to the gunslinging wizard. So my build right now and my favorite way to play is pistol in one hand, grimoire in the other. I can shoot enemies at mid and close range and then deploy some really excellent spells while I'm reloading. It's a lot of fun.
And as for me, it's a blood mage, 100%. So a couple of months ago, one of our QA testers, Jan, found a way to create a blood mage in the game. And it was a combination of rings and amulets and then special sort of wizard abilities that he then sort of crafted all together so that you can constantly be casting spells and depleting your essence in so doing. But then when you run out of essence, you start depleting your own health so that you can continue to cast spells. And so it's a very high-risk, high-reward playstyle that is so much fun. And one of the things that I'm really looking forward to when we get the game into player hands is what are all the other builds that are out there and what are people going to come up with that let them play their game their way?
It was awesome that you mentioned that because you told us about a specific class in RPG, Blood Mage. You have that in several RPGs, but actually the game doesn't have any classes. So why did you ditch that traditional concept forward to favoring builds?
So again, we really wanted to embrace player freedom, and we wanted to encourage players to explore not just the world we're building, but also the various systems and attributes that abilities that we're designing for them. We wanted players to engage their curiosity. We wanted them to be able to find a weapon in the world, pick it up, try it out, and if they like it, make it a viable part of their play style. If they find a unique arquebus midway through the game and they've never been playing with an arquebus prior to this, that is a viable weapon for them. They can pump a few points into a passive to make that more useful for them. But it really just gives players a lot of freedom to build the kind of character that they want to play. It rewards them for experimenting, and I think it really encourages players to come back and try new builds in subsequent playthroughs. And if they try something, they want to try something else, they can respec for a relatively nominal in-game cost.
Well, and what can players expect from AVOWED when they boot it up on Xbox or PC next year?
All right, so the very first thing that they can expect is an astonishingly beautiful main theme. So just sitting on the press start screen and hearing that main theme build and getting ready to go on an adventure with your friends, it is a beautiful moment, and I sure hope that players sit on that screen for an awful long time before they start to actually explore.
You get goosebumps.
What about you, Carrie? What the players can expect?
Yeah, what I really love about RPGs is the ability to design your own adventure and to have each playthrough of a game feel really, really personal. I love when our games go out to the public, kind of looking on the forums and seeing what choices they've made, how impassioned they feel about their choices, the moments where they said, I was really torn in this moment, but I went with this, and someone else says, how could you possibly choose that? This is clearly the right option. I love seeing how invested players get in their character stories and the character that they're building over the course of the game and the companions that they're getting to know. So what's exciting to me and what I know AVOWED is going to offer players is that ability to take a really beautiful, handcrafted world with some really excellent nuanced quests and create their own story through it.
Awesome. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck in this final stretch prior to the release in early 2025. É isso. Carrie Patel, Ryan Warden, para falar pouquinho de AVOWED com a gente.
Valeu, galera. Thank
Obrigada,
you so much.
Obrigada.
Much.